Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video, and this is a paid request from Alban. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for my top 15 favorite films of 2002 that he wanted me to list off. And let's get right into it. Starting number 15, I would put Panic Room. This is a film that fairly popular at the time. It made a decent amount of money. Jodie Foster had a little bit of a comeback for her because after this she would do films like Flight Plan, among other movies. And yes, starred a young, I can't believe I forgot her name, but she was Kristen Stewart, who would later be in Twilight, among other movies she played. I think it was her that played Jodie Foster's daughter. I believe it was her. You also had Forrest Whitaker, Jared Leto, Dwight Yoakam as the perpetrators entering Jodie Foster's place. Her and her daughter hide in the panic room. And just the way the camera work is, the door in between the panic room and the perpetrators outside, them trying to get inside, the close calls where they have to get out, get this thing, get right back in the nick of time. Definitely creates some nice tension. It's a film I haven't seen in a long time. It's a film I have not revisited a whole lot. It's probably one of the reasons why it's a bit lower on the list, because it's been so long since I've seen it, but I do remember quite liking it. I mean, my favorite David Fincher film is The Game. I remember Panic Room being a pretty good one. Number 14, Dragonfly, which is a Kevin Costner film that I always enjoyed. I always thought it was a bit underrated. A lot of people did not like it. They didn't like. I think the issue, well, a lot of people thought it was just a bad movie. I think the marketing did not help because if you look at the marketing, it seems like it'd be more of a horror film, but it's not a horror film at all. It's more of a supernatural drama about a guy having to let go of a loved one and finding a bit of a secret relating to a loved one who's trying to reach him and trying to send him a message. And that's really what it is. Kevin Costner's wife, his loved one, has passed away. He's trying to get over it. He's seeing these signs, these clues. But unlike, say, White Noise or Michael Keaton, that seems like he's getting messages from his loved one, White Noise, it led to nothing. It led to Michael Keaton just, oh, here's some other crazy ghost, and then he dies. And then, for some reason, the song at the end is, Defy gravity, I know you out there, somewhere out there, which makes, I like that song, but it makes no sense why that song's at the end of White Noise. No sense. It's like very downbeat ending. Here's the uplifting song. It doesn't quite click. Here, at least, the tone fits. There is a reason why this is happening. It comes to a nice, happier ending where there is a release, so to speak, for our main character. He does find out this secret that he's being guided by his loved one in the afterlife and why this is happening. I liked where it led to. I liked Kevin Costner as an actor. I would thought it was nice to see him in this flick. I mean, he didn't get to do a whole lot of supernatural films. The other one I could think of is The New Daughter, which was a really lame, lackluster direct-to-video flick. But Dragonfly, again, it's not a horror film at all. It's more of a supernatural drama. But again, I liked the story. I liked Kevin Costner's performance. I think he had Kathy Bates in it as well. I thought she did good supporting work in it. But yeah, Dragonfly. I thought that one's a bit underrated. Number 13, Frailty. Bill Paxton directs and stars in it. You got Matthew McConaughey. You got, I believe, Powers Booth. Matthew McConaughey is telling the story about him and his brother when they were kids and their father, played by Bill Paxton. Paxton believed that God told him to slay demons and only he could see demons. Very intriguing story. Has some pretty crazy twists that I did not see coming. I thought it was really ingenious because usually movies would go this way, but it actually decided to go this way, which made it so much more fascinating. I think that really helps the film. I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but Pattinson gave a very nice is he crazy or is he telling the truth type of performance. It showed that he was capable to create tension, and I miss Bill Paxton. I was always a big fan of his, just acting wise. Aliens as Hudson, Predator 2, Twister, True Lies. Did a lot of great work. Weird Science as Chet. Passed away way too soon. And it would have been nice to see what other directorial efforts he could have given us. Because Frailty is a pretty good one. Underrated one as well. Yeah, no one really talks about it much. Number 12, I put Showtime. Eddie Murphy, Robert De Niro movie that I actually thought was pretty decent. I never hated this film. I actually thought it was pretty fun, entertaining movie. I like the concept of not only just having Eddie Murphy, Robert De Niro as a pair, not what I would have expected, but I thought it was a interesting pairing. You have some nice work for people like William Shatner in there. And like I said, I like the idea of these guys having to be the star of this reality TV show called Showtime. You have the part-time actor cop played by Eddie Murphy, who's really loving the attention. Then you have the gruff Robert De Niro cop, who doesn't want the attention. And yeah, it does play a lot of stereotypes, cliches of the buddy cop formula. But you know what? Sometimes they're all cliches for a reason because sometimes they do work. As simple as manufactured as you may deem it to be. The action scenes I remember being pretty decent. I thought there was Eddie Murphy. He had some fun pieces of dialogue, banter. Always like Renee Russo. She's in the movie. In that era of Murphy movies where you had, what was it? I Spy and what, The Adventures of Pluto Nash and Doctor Dolittle, Doctor Dolittle 2, Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps. A lot of, in my opinion, disasters. This was, this is actually pretty decent. Maybe that's another reason. Number 11, Jason X. Always liked Jason X. Never hated it. I knew it would be a dumb movie because it's Jason in space. Of course I knew it was a dumb movie. But I thought it was an entertaining B movie. Yes, the special effects are not that special. Or they're too special, however you want to put it. The lead actress really doesn't have much to do in the second half of the film. She's kind of just along for the ride. And she doesn't even really fight or stop Jason. But you know what? Kane Hodder, just the whole Jason space motif. If you don't be dumb, you better be fun. And I like the body count. I like the kills, especially the girl getting her face frozen and smashed. I like the quirky humor. The android with the nipples falling off. I thought that was kind of funny. The Crystal Lake VR, where the two girls, we love premarital sex. And he's hitting one with the sleeping bag. I guess another and another sleeping bag. It's one of those movies that, with a critical eye, yes, this would not be on the list. There's a lot of problems. Again, the special effects are cheap. Like I mentioned, the lead character, the Uber Jason. They gave it all away in the trailer. So he comes in the last like 15 minutes. He doesn't really get much in terms of kills as Uber Jason. There's a lot of things they could have done differently, but at the same time, I remember when this film came out. I remember liking the trailer. I think that was the first I've ever heard the song Bodies by Drowning Pool. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. And I liked the trailer. And I'm like, you know what? I love these type of sci-fi action horror movies like Aliens. It's like pretty much take Aliens or these type of movies, The Terror Within, where it's like soldiers with guns or weapons and they're going up against, but instead of an alien is Jason. It was so stupid, it was funny. And I went along for the ride, I had fun, I had a smile on my face. I like what's his name? The character's name was Brodsky, like the tough soldier guy. I did like him. And, God, I forgot his name. He was actually, if you played the first Dead Space video game, he's, I think Hammond, the leader of the group that you're with on the ship at the beginning with Isaac Clarke. And the leader is the black guy who's bald. The guy who did the voice and, I guess, the motion capture, that's the same guy who was in Jason X. So I'm like, oh, yeah, that's cool, And I might have gotten the names wrong because I'm bad with names, but God, it's like his name's there, but it's hazy, so I can't. Damn it. But I do like him. So I had fun with the movie. Number 10, All About the Benjamins. A Blu-ray came out. I did pick up the Blu-ray. It was still very funny. I think Ice Cube and Mike Epps had some really wonderful chemistry in that movie. They worked very well. I think it's one of Mike Epps' highlights comedically. There's a lot of moments, whether it be making fun of the store clerk. You don't have, making fun of the way he talks. Even the way he's counting the money and the way he's doing it. When him and Ice Cube tie up this guy, they're interrogating him. Mike Epps making fun of him. You don't have a 4 head, you have a 5 head. If you salute, you go, yes, sir. With that head, you don't have dreams, you have movies. It was a lot of entertainment value to be had. So much better than the ride-along movies, and yet the ride-along movies are the ones that made so much money. You just say because of Kevin Hart and the rise of popularity he was getting at that time. But again, if you're asking me which deserved the money more, it was All About the Benjamins. Not so much Ride Along 1 or 2. But yeah, that's a fun film, All About the Benjamins. Number 9, I put the Mothman Prophecies. That deserves a new Blu-ray. There was one, I forget, it's from Imprint or something. Somewhere where I think it's out of print now. But Stream Factory. Stream Factory, you're releasing these BS movies like Lost in Space Collector's Edition. Or the Shining miniseries. Creepshow 3. The Mothman Prophecies would actually make sense. That would actually work. I like the movie. I like the story, the mythos of the Mothman. At least the way it's showcased in the movie. I know it's not exactly how it is in real life. I like the Richard Gere's performance. It's my favorite performance from Richard Gere. I would say it's my favorite movie starring Richard Gere. I liked, was it Laura Linney and I forget who else. Again, I can visualize his face. He was in Armageddon, I believe. He's been a lot of other stuff. I remember seeing it in the theater during school, because once in a while, for class, you would get these school field trips. And since there's nothing around where we were at, the field trip was to the movie theater. which was fine and it was very rare. I know one time point he was like, I was trying to enjoy the film, but all the other kids were talking and yelling and talking because they were bored. They were bored because it wasn't, an Adam Sandler film, which I'm. If anybody from my school ever watches, I'm sorry, but it's the truth. The only thing they gave a shit about movie wise was Adam Sandler. And hey, I like Adam Sandler movies too. But if there was any other movie, they didn't know jack squat about it. They didn't care. I remember back in the day, early in school, bringing like Three Stooges. They didn't give a shit about that. Horror movies, they didn't know anything about that. In fact, I remember mentioning, oh wow, there's gonna be a Tremors 2. They didn't know what Tremors was, or they did like, oh yeah, there's gonna be Tremors 3, there's gonna be Tremors 4. I'm like, actually, yes, there are. There's going to be about 7 Tremors movies, and a TV series, and a pilot that wasn't shown, but had Kevin Bacon in it. So actually, there's a shitload more. So fuck you. But yeah, like I said, Mothman Prophecy. I like the mythos of the story. I thought it had some really interesting shots from the directors. Some utilizing the camera, showcasing the landscape and the way the cameras move, the camera movements. I thought the director actually had some really nifty shots in there, and even the bridge collapse at the end, I thought was well handled, choreography wise, effects wise. Number 8, Collateral Damage, which, for what I understand, this is a film that at one point was going to be shelved because it starred Arnold Schwarzenegger. His films were not being huge hits at the time because, as much as I love End of Days, that film didn't do that well. The Sixth Day. Actually, I can't remember when that. I think they came out before this. That didn't do well. This was supposed to come out earlier, but then 9/11 happened. And there was talks of Warner Bros. Saying, you know what, let's just not release it at all. It might have been where they might have done the Batgirl thing, where we're just gonna write as a tax write-off and then it can never be released. But they did release it, and sadly, it did not do well. I just because at the time, Arnold's star was fading. Also, maybe at the time, people didn't really want to look at that subject because they thought it hit too close to home. But Collateral Damage, I always thought was a bit underrated. Arnold's a firefighter. His family gets killed by terrorists. He gets some info from people to go to Colombia and find the bad guys. Nice supporting cast. You got John Leguizamo. You got Elias Koteas, who's Casey Jones in the first Ninja Turtles movie. Was it Cliff Curtis, I believe, played the villain? If so, I like him as an actor. It's not the Arnold of Commando. It's not the Arnold of your True Lies, where he's laying waste with machine guns. He is a firefighter. Is more of a I was going to say adventure, in a way, but as I got invested into the story, I felt for Arnold's character. I thought he did a good job acting wise. I thought the location, Columbia, they filmed it fairly well. I believe it's the same director that did Code of Silence and The Fugitive. I think the same director. He's a very capable director. And I like the twist, which you find out someone else is a villain. Well, they're a villain, but you also find out someone else, they also are a villain. I didn't see that coming when I first saw this, and I was like, whoa. Maybe nowadays people think, oh, that's predictable, but I didn't predict it. I remember going, first time I saw this on DVD, I went, oh, wow. Okay, cool. I thought the ending had some really good style work, whether Arnold having to slide down the elevator cables, utilizing his firefighter techniques, especially with the fire axe. Yes, at the end, there's some questionable CGI, But throughout the movie, there's some pretty good practical explosions, where he's using his little techniques to try to create some explosives. You do get a bit of that Arnold action escapism, as well as maybe trying to be a bit more of a thriller aspect to it. But Collateral Damage, I thought, again, underrated flick. One of his lesser known films, but still pretty good, in my opinion. Number 7, I put the first Triple X movie. Because I wasn't sure if which I like more, this or Collateral Damage. And I kind of went back and forth. Because I would say I like Arnold more than Vin Diesel. But I did put Triple X above it. Because I'm a sucker for the idea of a secret agent that's trying to be James Bond, but at the same time with extreme sports. I thought that was kind of a fun idea. I thought the action scenes were definitely like more plentiful compared to Collateral Damage. The crazy over the top escapism action, whether it be having the snowboard from Avalanche or the crazy motorcycle stunts in a scene earlier where he's got to escape these scenes. Vin Diesel in his heyday, before he had 18 Fast and Furious films under him. This is when, like, hey, this guy, he's gonna be the next big action star. And Triple X seemed like a good start to a franchise that turned to shit because he didn't do the second film. Ice Cube did it. And then he did, but he came back for a third film, which was even worse. Because yes, I would even watch the second film more than the third one. Because the third one tried to be Fast and Furious instead of its own thing. Having a family, having a team, blah, blah, blah. If you watch Vin Diesel's performance in Triple X, it's very different than how he acts nowadays in movies, including Return of Xander Cage, the third one, including. Just, there's much more of a. His face is more animated. He's a lot hungrier. He's a lot angrier. He's a lot more attitude, which works for that character. And you do have Dario Argento's daughter, Aja Argento, as the love interest, Samuel Jackson. But yeah, I remember having fun with that film, and funny enough, that's like one of my. If you go to my channel and you type in most popular, that's like one of my most highly viewed reviews. I think because of the title. Because so many people typed up Triple X, looking for porn probably. And then they see me. I'm like, yeah, because there's a thumbnail of Vin Diesel. Yeah, it's me talking about the movie. But that's from like, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. But, fun film. Number 6, Jackass the movie. It's that or the third Jackass, which is my favorite. Might be the first one. You know, from the very opening, where they're going in that huge shopping cart and going down, and everyone's being introduced, and it's done in slow motion. And I think because these guys are doing these jokes onto themselves, and they're not really hurting anybody else. And it's more of the physical comedy pratfalls that make me laugh or go, this visceral reaction. Because in a weird way, they're laughing about it at the end of the day. So in a way, because they're laughing about it, I'm laughing about it. And I know I'm a sucker for that stuff. I'm a sucker for the Jackass guys. I even like their last one, Jackass Forever. So I like all four of them, and it was nice to see that Steve always cleaned up his act and his life. He's gotten sober. And funny enough, like of the group, like they make a joke. I think it was at the end of this one. Like after the credits, it's like, oh well, Jackass. If it's this many decades later, and they're all old and decrepit, and the only one who survives is Steve-O. And then, funny enough, he's the one that's kind of the most in shape, healthy. You may not always agree with his views, but I mean, is there anyone that we all agree 100% with their views? Again, body wise, physical wise, business wise, he's actually the most successful. Funny enough. Who'd have thunk it? But yeah, Jackass the movie. Stupid fun escapism. Number 5, The Transporter. Jason Statham had done films before this, but I would say this is really what brought him to the dance, especially in terms of action films. Because you think, well, who the hell is... A lot of people were thinking, who the hell is Jason Statham? And then you watch The Transporter, and I remember the trailer. I forget where I saw the trailer at, but I remember watching the trailer and really getting into the editing, the action, the song they use. What you share off the wall, y'all? We're gonna brawl, brawl. Hey, no. What you share off the wall, y'all? We're gonna brawl, brawl. And there's a shot in the trailer that's not in the movie where someone shoots a missile. He takes the thing and he ricochets it, but they cut out for being too unrealistic. But I'm like, the rest of the movie is too unrealistic as well. You might as well have kept that in. I know that was in a deleted scene on the DVD, but it's like, you should have just kept that in. I mean, it's so realistic. The whole movie's fucking unrealistic. Now, it's one of those movies that... I'm trying to remember. I know the sequel is Louis Leterrier, but then Troy Yun, I believe, did the action. I'm trying to remember if his name... it might just be Troy Yun in the credits on this. Either way, I know sometimes they have like a director to shoot the dialogue, then they have the guy to shoot the action, and it's really the guy who shoots the action who's the MVP of the movie. But I know Troy Yun had a hand in this. And I remember just being impressed, like, who the hell is this Jason Statham guy? Man, this guy can move. I liked him as an actor. I do think he's got that star quality to him. And here he's young, he's energetic, he's got, well, energetic is the wrong word because the transport doesn't really have a lot of, energy in terms of, wisecracks or anything, but he's got that badass star quality in these early films, and there's nice to see a bit of that in the Beekeeper. You had some nice action fight sequences. I think that the one I remember the most is when he's got all this like oil grease on him, and they're trying to grab him, they're slipping off. And he gets these things attached to his feet. He's like doing these beautiful roundhouse kicks, and I'm like, damn, this guy's pretty good in the martial arts, the movements. This guy knows what he's doing. And you're not really into it for the story. In fact, like there's a bit where there's like two trucks of people who, like, there's these two trucks. I think both of the trucks have innocent people. There's like a trafficking story. I see Jason Statham get one. I don't know what happened to the other truck. Maybe some dialogue says they got it later, but I'm like, whatever happened to the other truck? Did the other truck of people disappeared? And I might have seen this in the theater. I might have. No. Maybe not. No, this is one I think I did see in the theater. I'm trying to remember how that came about, though. Because I vividly do remember seeing this in the theater going, why but tell the truck of people? Like, I might have missed something, I don't know, but then entertaining martial arts flick. The story's nothing to run home about, but it was a nice, simple vehicle for Statham to show what he could do action film wise. And show that he had that it factor that, made him a star. Number 4, Kung Pao. I think that's a hilarious comedy where other people have done this before, but they take like an older film and then they put themselves in it and they redub the dialogue. In this case, it's an old Hong Kong movie, but then they like add special effects and other bits in it. The idea the director he also starred in it. He puts himself, I think he's a Steve Odysee, and I could watch that film today and laugh my ass off, whether it be the girl that he's in love with, and so many times she talks like wee 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 wee, and the bad dubbing and just throw the jokes out. It may not work. Betty, little Betty. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I may sound like a fucking moron, but as usual. But if you watch like the clips of Kung Pao, to me it's absolutely hilarious, and that's a film that deserves a Blu-ray. I would love to see that get the Blu-ray treatment. That'd be hilarious. Not all the scenes work. It was right after the Matrix, so there's a scene where you have the CGI cow shooting milk, and the guy doing the dodging like Neo in the Matrix. Movie of its time, but it's such a stupid but entertaining. Number 3, I put Equilibrium, my favorite Christian Bale movie. The Gunata. The story very reminiscent of 1984, among other stories. Big Brother's watching you. Don't show emotion. If you show emotion, you'll be punished. Works of art, among other stuff, gets confiscated and destroyed. Christian Bale is an enforcer to go after these rebels. Everyone takes these pills to suppress their emotions, but then something happens. He doesn't take them. One day becomes two, two becomes three. He starts experiencing emotions, and because of that, he sort of finds his soul, finds that this art can be beautiful, these books can be great, fights the oppression. It's a badass style where between the butt of these guns, but then he's got these things that come out of the butt of the guns and beats the shit out of people. The Gunata was like doing martial arts moves, but it's like with guns. I know people make fun of it now. They laugh at it. They think it's stupid. You look at stuff online. They make fun of it. They go, it's so dumb. To me, it was so different. It was refreshing. It was unique. I think it worked for that movie. And, Christian Bale was wonderful in the lead. Sally, it didn't get much of a distribution. It pretty much just went straight to video, which is where I saw it, but highly enjoyable movie. Very underrated. If you like action films, if you like Christian Bale, it's easily worth a watch. Number 2, Blade 2. My favorite Blade film, one of my favorite Wesley Snipes movies. Guillermo del Toro brought a great, refreshing spin on Blade, and I really liked the first Blade. This Blade 2 became even more of a creature feature, with the Reapers, the vampires that hunt vampires, those creatures, and how the mouths come out and will suck on the other vampires, bite their necks. And I like the idea of Blade having to partner up with other vampires. This hit squad that was originally meant for him, in order to go after these worse creations. Ron Perlman, I forgot his name, Daryl from The Walking Dead, he's in it. Chris Christopherson, they bring him back. I still don't understand how he's alive because it seems very clear he shot himself, but they try to, I know they try to explain dialogue, but it's like, I think Blade would have made sure that Whistler was dead. You know, that doesn't seem like something he would have just, whoops, I made a mistake. But at the same time, I like seeing Chris Christopherson back, and he was a great asset, and he's great support for Blade. I love his banter against the vampire squad. Someone's can't see in the dark, you fucking nipplehead. Did a move on, and then they're like, did a move on, Grandpa. Great action scenes. I especially love when Blade gets the blood and he's pumped up, and you have him kicking everybody's ass to name of the game. Boom. And a really good showcase what Wesley Snipes can do martial arts wise. Taking these people out one by one, crisp, fast, even doing a damn suplex. Suplex City, bitch. So, love the fight scenes. Love the designs of the creatures for the villains. Yeah, I love Guillermo del Toro's. Delved a bit more to the horror creature feature aspect. Yeah, I like the vampire squad. Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen is one of them. He doesn't have a whole lot to do, but it's nice to see him in there. A very fun movie. To be the last great Blade movie. And number one, I know people will be like, really? But the more I thought about it, I'm like, yeah. I See You, also known as Detox, is my favorite film of 2002 because I think it's one of the more underrated films of 2002. Because that film, despite having issues of editing, has, in my opinion, one of Sylvester Stallone's most underrated performances. Where he plays a cop whose wife has been murdered and he is wanting to end his life. He's sent to this detox center, middle of nowhere. And just the cast, you got Robert Patrick, Chris Christopherson, Charles S. Dutton. I love the musical score, especially the bits at the very end of the film. I think really cinches it. I like the location that they shot it. It has a little bit of John Carpenter's The Thing vibes, and the mystery could have been a bit stronger. The editing, you tell there was some finessing behind the scenes, which there was, because there was a longer cut, and then certain scenes had to be switched around that. I do wish it was a gorier movie, but the director who did I Know He Did Last Summer, he's not in the gore. But I do wish it was a much more violent movie. But I love Stallone's character. It's the closest we ever got to see him in a horror movie. I'm a sucker for that. Seeing my favorite action stars and horror film surroundings. Whether it be Chuck Norris and Silent Rage and Hellbound. Whether it be Arnold Schwarzenegger and Predator and End of Days. I'm a sucker for that. And then the closest Stallone ever came was this film. So, because it's a serial killer movie. Who's killing FBI agents. I always maintain that, there's another film Rennie Harlan did called Mindhunters, which I really enjoy that film too. Sometimes I think, man, if you took Sylvester Stallone and you put him in the LL Cool J role in Mindhunters, that would have been pretty cool. Or maybe Rennie Harlan would have been a better director for this movie instead of the guy who I Know What He Did Last Summer, which I don't hate that film, but it's not a favorite. But again, there's a lot of elements I really do like about that. I like the. Listen, I really like the cast. I like the music. I like the location. Again, I think Stallone gives one of his best performances. It's a very different type of Stallone performance, where he's just down in the dumps, and when he's breaks into his old home and he's slitting his wrists, and I mean, man, I haven't seen this type of Sly role in a while, and it's sad that it kind of disappeared in the ether because it is not a perfect film, but I don't think it's as bad as Reputation. Far from it. I remember when I saw the trailer to this in front of I can't remember which movie it was, but I'm like, what the hell is this movie? I See You. I was like waiting. What is this coming out? I remember I was in a different part of Texas at the time, San Marcos, and the date came out, and I walked right to Best Buy. And I see it there, and I picked up the DVD. It was a DVD with a white cover, ICU, and I'm watching. I'm like, oh wow, okay. And from the oh shit, the killer drilling the woman's eye, and okay, it's a little bit like Sounds of Lambs, Seven, like type of feel with the opening credits, the Seven especially, and I'm like, oh, there's a good cast. Wow, Stallone's performance, and I love the ending. I see you, you see this. Impale that motherfucker. And despite some issues, I was still rather satisfied with the movie. And again, being I might rag on Stallone for what he's done for the past like 10 years because I know he could do better. But there's a lot of stuff of his I really enjoy. I See You being one of them. And I don't know what happened to that. What was it? Was a Viking Samurai. It's a YouTuber. He had an interview with like the director of this movie, and some like guys from Germany's like, yeah, we're going to release this new cut of the movie. It's a much larger cut of the film. I have no idea whatever happened to it. There was a website. It was sold out, so I couldn't buy a copy. But maybe that's for the better, because there's been no release date. There's been no word, nothing. So maybe it was a darn pony show. I don't fucking know what happened to that. So maybe I let down not getting it, not getting ripped off. So, but yeah, number 15 Panic Room, 14 Dragonfly, 13 Frailty, 12 Showtime, 11 Jason X, 10 All About the Benjamins, 9 The Mothman Prophecies, 8 Collateral Damage, 7 Triple X, 6 Jackass, 5 The Transporter, 4 Trump Powell, 3 Equilibrium, 2 Blade 2, and 1 ICU. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye bye.